You're listening to a production of the National Media Archive. To learn more or volunteer, go to nationalmediaarchive.com.
Imagine being the 11th of 14 children in 19th century Germany. That was Henri Nestlé's reality, a young man shaped by hardship, ambition, and, above all, compassion. Now, why does this matter for a food giant like Nestlé? Because every global empire starts with a story of personal drive and unique perspective. Henri's experience witnessing widespread malnutrition and high infant mortality rates in Europe ignited his desire to make a difference. He trained rigorously as a pharmacist. Think of it as being both a scientist and a chef, blending chemistry with culinary curiosity. Now, you might be thinking, how does a pharmacist become a food pioneer? Well, Henri's expertise in compounding medicines gave him an insider's understanding of nutrition, what our bodies truly need, at the molecular level. Let me tell you a story. Henri wasn't just mixing medicines. He experimented with products like nut oil and fertilizer, what we'd call today a serial entrepreneur. But none of those ventures satisfied his deeper urge to help others. In a world racked by hunger and disease, Henri Nestlé realized that food could be both medicine and hope. And with that insight, a new era in nutrition was about to begin. What if I told you the world's largest food company started with a single, desperate need a solution for babies who couldn't be breastfed? That's the crux of Nestlé's first great leap. Farine lactée. At that time, infant mortality rates were soaring. The root problem? Malnutrition. Henri Nestlé fused his pharmacist's precision with his humanitarian heart to create a milk-based infant formula, using a process called fortification, adding vital nutrients to basic foods. Skeptics scoffed. Can a man-made product save lives? But Henri's formula proved not only commercially successful, but transformative. Hospitals reported plummeting infant deaths where farine lactée was introduced. Imagine the relief for mothers, the hope for families. It wasn't just about selling a product, it was about saving lives with science. That's what we'd now call a disruptive innovation, much like the smartphone, but for nutrition. Henri's first product set the tone for Nestlé. Scientific rigor, social responsibility, and relentless problem-solving, a recipe for impact that would echo for generations. Let's set the scene. 19th century Europe, post-industrial revolution. Cities booming, economies shifting, and unintended consequence nutrition taking a hit. Why? Because traditional diets were disrupted, and new urban populations faced food insecurity. Nestlé, still young as a company, saw opportunity where others saw chaos. The Industrial Revolution introduced technologies like steam, power, and mass production. Think of it as the rise of scaling up for the first time. Now, you might wonder, how did Nestlé adapt? By localizing production. Instead of shipping everything from Switzerland, Nestlé set up facilities near its markets, a simple but game-changing move called vertical integration, where a company controls multiple steps of its supply chain. This approach allowed Nestlé to customize products for different regions, reduce costs, and respond quickly to shifting demands. It's like the difference between a one-size-fits-all shirt and a tailored suit. By embracing industrial technology and strategic expansion, Nestlé turned the era's turmoil into a springboard for growth and resilience. If you've ever wondered how a company goes from local hero to global powerhouse, mergers hold the key. In 1905, Nestlé merged with the Anglo-Swiss condensed milk company, a move that changed everything. Here's the setup. Anglo-Swiss was a leader in condensed milk, another essential food for families, especially where refrigeration was scarce. By joining forces, they pulled not just products, but expertise and distribution networks. You might ask, wasn't that risky, combining two giants? Absolutely. Mergers can fail if cultures clash, but Nestlé and Anglo-Swiss shared a mission-making nutrition accessible. That common ground fueled their success. With this union, Nestlé gained access to new markets and technologies. The result? Exponential growth, diversified offerings, and a template for future acquisitions. This wasn't just business, it was synergy where the whole becomes greater than the sum of its parts. That's how Nestlé began its rise as a truly international brand. Let's play a quick game. Think of 3 Nestlé products. Did you say coffee, chocolate, cereal? Here's the conflict. Nestlé began with infant nutrition, but quickly realized that survival depended on expanding its portfolio. During the 20th century, Nestlé branched out into milk products, breakfast cereals, coffee, chocolate, and more. This is called diversification, spreading risk and capturing new markets. Picture a stock portfolio. The more varied, the safer. But why did this matter? Because consumer tastes change and markets fluctuate. By not putting all its eggs in one basket, literally Nestlé ensured stability and growth. Now you might be thinking, isn't focus better than variety? Sometimes, yes. But in food, variety is resilience. Nestlé's vast range allowed it to weather wars, economic crises, and changing diets. This strategy, supported by innovations like shelf-stable products and flavor engineering, kept Nestlé at the forefront of the global food industry. What do you reach for to kickstart your morning? For millions, the answer is Nescafé, Nestlé's instant coffee breakthrough launched in 1938. But here's the twist. This innovation was born out of surplus coffee beans in Brazilian economic challenge turned global opportunity. With clever use of freeze-drying process that removes water without damaging flavor, Nestlé made coffee easy, portable, and long-lasting. That's the magic of food technology, turning a perishable good into a pantry staple. And it didn't stop there. Nestlé dove into confectionery with iconic products like Nestlé Crunch, mixing milk chocolate with crispy rice. The technical term here is product differentiation, making your chocolate stand out in a crowded market. Now, you might ask, what's the secret to creating a beloved brand? It's a blend of quality, convenience, and emotional appeal. Nestlé mastered all three. By solving real-world problems and delighting consumers, Nestlé's innovations became household names, proof that necessity truly is the mother of invention. How does a Swiss company become a household name in nearly 200 countries? The answer lies in localization, adapting products and practices to fit local tastes and cultures. Nestlé's strategy involves setting up production facilities in target markets. This reduced shipping costs and allowed for customization. Think of it as tailoring a suit, not just selling off the rack. One technical term here is glocalization, going global while thinking local. For instance, Nestlé makes spicy noodles in India and matcha KitKats in Japan. Now, you might wonder, how did this help? By embedding itself in local economies, Nestlé built trust, navigated regulations, and responded swiftly to consumer preferences. This approach transformed Nestlé from a European brand into a truly global leader, able to serve billions with products that feel both familiar and innovative. Ever heard the saying, if you can't build it, buy it? Nestlé's growth in the late 20th and early 21st centuries proves the power of strategic acquisitions. Acquiring brands like Stouffer's, Gerber, and Purina allowed Nestlé to enter new market frozen foods, baby nutrition, pet care without starting from scratch. That's called horizontal integration, expanding across similar industries to gain market share. But acquisitions aren't just about size. They're about synergy. By bringing in established expertise and loyal customers, Nestlé could innovate faster and manage risk. Now you might ask, doesn't this make a company too big to manage? It's a real risk. But Nestlé invested in robust supply chains and management systems to keep operations smooth. Through smart buying and integration, Nestlé built a portfolio of zero brand screening, a food empire that touches almost every segment of the industry. Here's a challenge. How does a 100 billion company shrink its environmental footprint? For Nestlé, the answer is innovation both in sustainability and digital technology. Nestlé has committed to zero emissions by 2050, a bold goal requiring sweeping changes. They're reducing plastic with biodegradable packaging and optimizing water management. Think of it as eco-engineering, redesigning processes for minimal impact. On the tech front, Nestlé uses data analytics and digital platforms for everything from tracking supply chains to engaging customers. These are like having GPS for your ingredients and a direct line to your consumers. Now you might ask, is this just greenwashing? The proof is in the progress. Real reductions in emissions, waste, and water use, plus transparent reporting. By integrating sustainability and technology, Nestlé isn't just keeping up with the times, it's setting new industry standards for responsibility and efficiency. Think about the last few years. A pandemic, economic uncertainty, trade tensions. How does a giant like Nestlé stay afloat? The answer lies in resilience, a company's ability to adapt and recover. Nestlé responded to COVID-19 by optimizing its supply chain using localized production and digital tools to keep shelves stocked and customers informed. That's called supply chain agility, the business world's version of being quick on your feet. Currency fluctuations and trade barriers. Nestlé's global diversification meant it could offset losses in one market with gains in another. It's like a well-balanced diet. If one ingredient goes bad, the meal still works. Now you might ask, is any company truly crisis-proof? Not entirely, but Nestlé's investments in risk management and digital infrastructure helped it weather storms better than most. Through resilience, Nestlé not only survived crises, it often emerged stronger and more innovative, ready for whatever comes next. So, what's the heart of Nestlé's story? It's not just about profits or products, it's about a legacy of health, innovation, and social responsibility. Nestlé Health Science exemplifies this, developing research-based nutrition for every stage of life, from infants to seniors. The technical terms here: personalized nutrition and nutraceuticals, mean using science to tailor food to individual needs. Looking ahead, Nestlé's focus is on reducing its environmental impact, leveraging technology, and expanding health-oriented products. Imagine a world where your snack isn't just tasty, but a custom fit for your well-being. Now, you might be thinking, can a company this big stay true to its roots? It's a fair question. But Nestlé's ongoing commitment to social impact suggests that Henri's original vision, nourishing body and soul, still shapes every decision. As Nestlé moves forward, its promise remains: to innovate, to care, and to lead in nourishing a changing world. That's a legacy worth remembering and a future worth watching.